Hello to my channel. Today we are going to look at one of the uh, interesting data points that I saw today is which is only 60 new accepted contract after the Christmas. So even though we're gonna have a lot of celebration going on last weekend, right? But we're still gonna be looking at the real estate data today to see what's going on during the holiday and what can we conclude about the current market, which is only 1 week left of 2022. So let's take a look at what we have. All right. Now, before I go through the data, I just want to say that thank you everyone for watching the show. This is so grateful that you have been following me for the last year. This is going to be the last market update of 2022. So hopefully you like it so far. I would really appreciate your feedback, your comment about the show so that I can make the show even better and more relevant to you. All right. Now let's come back to the market updates. Now let me share with you one screen. Let's share with you a couple information before we answer the question, what is going on? What is going on right now? All right. So we do see that the new accepted contracts, this is one of the situation that, as I told you, right, the new accepted contract as of today is only 60. All right, it's only 60 new accepted contract. But however, though, I wouldn't be too worried about that because this is the last update, like December of 26th, and this is only 1 day for this week. So they're pretty much not a lot of not a lot of things going on over the last weekend, right? Because normally people are going to go shopping for houses, getting under contract over Saturday. We see houses on Saturday and Sunday and getting under contract, submitting an offer, getting under contract on Monday and Tuesday. However, though, since today is a holiday, basically, a lot of company are off today, closed today. So today is basically the holiday season, and therefore not a lot of people want to make any move as well. Maybe they already have the plan, travel out the states, right? Most the buyers and sellers are not very doing anything much. That's the reason why for the 60 accepted contract. I expect since the last week of 2022, we still have 4 business days going on. It's gonna be pick up as we speak about it, as we talk about the data next year, next week, right? So it's gonna be even more. Now, one thing that we have to look at as we see this chart is that we can see that the trend is actually going down. Okay, we see that this is to emphasize this is the demand. This is the demand of the market right now, right? Because if we don't have, basically the buyer is going to be the one who control whether they want to submit an offer that the seller is willing to accept right away or not, right? So as we see, this is the downtrend, right? And even though this number tend to be gonna be a little bit higher, we're still gonna be a downtrend, right? And one of the reason why, as you know, since all the report that I have is because of the interest rate. So I just want to show you here on the right the interest rate chart from all the way to the January of this year. Okay, this is the 30 years interest rate since January of this year. All right, as you see here, if you see this, as you see here, I'm gonna point out this is from February to March to April and May, right? The interest rate even go higher and higher on the right side. That is the time where we actually see the decrease. We actually see the decrease in the demand, right? So obviously not a lot of people liking to have the interest rate, right? The interest rate around February is only 4%, but it's raised all the way to like around 5.5% around January, and therefore we have a dip. We have a dip in the demand of buyers that want to make an offer, right? So we see that there's a very close correlation between the interest rate, intercorrelation, what is the opposite correlation? I forget the word, but basically you see the idea, like as interest rates go higher, the demand drop. Now, this is not the only time, right? February, April, and March is not the only time. So as you see here, there is another time around maybe June, all right? June of 2022, whereas there is the highest around that time, right? 6.3 something. And we can see here's that drop right here. All right, I want to highlight that for you right here. Here's the drop right here in June. All right, we see that there's a big drop because it's jumping from like 5.5, go down to 5.2, and then go all the way up to 6.2. So around June, we see another drop on the demand. Right, we see that this is happening multiple times during the year as well. Another example is that if we're focusing on this period right here, all right, that is around September, October, and November, right? That is around 7 points, all right, 7 points. So that is when we have an extremely low demand right here, right here, very low demand right here, and as we see here in another way, when we have a drop in the mortgage interest rate, right, in this period right here around November and December, is actually getting improvement a little bit right here, right, a little bit right here. So even though, as you see here, it's go back up a little bit toward the end, right? It's very small data point, but I want to emphasize here a little bit so that you can see. So we see that this is drop here, and then we see that there's the demand here also drop. Go higher a little bit here, right? And then we can see that the interest rate is right now right around 6.2. So it's gonna be like that because we're going to see that it's not changing that much for the last couple of weeks already. And we see that the demand is going to be around here, which is a really good signal, meaning that there's still a very strong amount of people still looking for houses. And the more they wait, the more they realize that, first of all, the interest rate is not going to dropping any further anytime soon, right? We're not going to see 2 or 3% anytime soon. So why wait? Why wait now? So they're coming back to the market, the demand coming back to the market. That is the evidence that around every single week, we have about the same number of buyers that willing to submit an acceptable offer to the seller. When I say acceptable, because there's some other buyers still looking for the deals, and they still making a low offer because there's no rush for them to do so, right? There's no rush for them, so they're seeking for even more better deal. But for the buyers that ready to make a move, ready to move into the new house, they make an easy to accept offer to the seller, right? So we have that amount right here, as you see here, around the same number, around 1,400 contract accepted every week. Now we're talking about new accepted contract, right? As the interest rate go constant, not constant, but around the same point. So you see that there's a strong demand there. They start slowly getting back to the market. They do not want to wait any longer. And the second reason is that they can also negotiate with the seller in today's market to offer them closing concession. Basically, that is the dollar, that is the amount, some amount of money, so that the buyer can use to buy down the interest rate even of lower. So even though the market is 6.2, but it can easily use those money to lower the price, right? So that's driving the demand right now, right? Because seller is more willing to offer those closing cost concession. Okay, the other chart that I want to show you, which is leading to the next topic, is what is happening with the market right now. There's two charts that I want to show you. One is the new listing weekly and the active listing week count. All right. On the right here, we see that there is a downtrend. There is the downtrend of the new listing weekly. Okay, it's downtrend as I want to point out right here. Okay, and see that there's a little bit where up higher in around week 50, but we still see the downtrend toward the end of the year. All right, so not only just the demand is getting low as the interest rate go higher, but also the seller, the homeowners, are not interested in selling neither. Well, you know why? Somebody asked why. Well, if the home price is so high right now, why not a lot of sellers want to sell their house? The reason is that the same, because they know that the equity in their house is so high right now. If they put their home onto the market at this moment, at this time, where the interest rate is go high, and also Christmas, New Year time, right? There's no one gonna make a move the price that they want. Why? Why do they have to be in those risky situations and selling their house for less than what they expect to get? And therefore, they are not encouragement to sell anymore. Additionally, if they sell their house now, they have to find another place to live. So they either have to rent or they have to either buy another house. If they buy another house, excuse me, if they buy another house, they have to get a higher interest rate than that what they have right now, right? And still pay for high price on other people's house. So why do they have to do that? Or if they rent, they basically already get used to the home ownership habit, right? So they don't want to give up that anymore. They don't want to give up the money to other landlords anymore, right? So that's the reason why they don't have any motivation to sell at this time. And as a result, you see here the active listing is going down. Now somebody asked me on a chart here, what is the difference between the chart on the right versus the chart on the left, because they're still showing that is the listing available. The chart on the right is the new listing that putting onto the market, right? That is day 0 on the market. That is the number of new listing, day 0 on the market. Active listing, that's including the new 0, the new listing on the right, plus whatever remaining from the previous time in the past. In this situation, we have been seeing an increase of active listing since May or June of this year because of high interest rate, right? But we actually see around October, November, around November, December timeframe, we start actually a decreased trend of active listing. Now, this is the reason right now, the main reason right now, which we can see that there's no crash on the market, because there's not a lot of drop in the sale price of the house. Because here's the thing, with the demand and the supply, right? When the demand goes down, a lot of people think that the price is going to go down immediately. However, it is not, because it's also depend on supply as well. So if supply goes higher for some reason, if a lot of people wanting to sell the house, the bigger the gap between the supply and the demand, the higher the price drop, the more the price drop, right? In this situation, though, we don't have that. Even though the demand drop, the supply also drop, which make the gap is pretty much zero, right? Pretty much not zero, but not much difference, right? Then therefore, the price is not changing a lot in current market. It is the opposite in 2008 and 2009, where we see that when the demand goes almost to zero, at that time, a lot of people lose their job. They cannot qualify for the house. A lot of homeowners, investors actually were very afraid of that situation. And because they do not lose anything, they do not lose anything back then, because when they get the house, they don't have to put in any money of their own. So they're just like, never mind, I just give up everything that I have, right now. In this today market, though, because of the change in the mortgage industry, all of the homeowners require to have a capital, a down payment that into the house. So they are not gonna willing to sacrifice those houses, right? They're not, because if they lose it, they're gonna lose all the money that I put into the house already, and therefore there's no motivation. The supply also go down as the demand goes down, and therefore the price doesn't change much. Now, this is another indication that we have to look at right now. This is a comfort market index, which you see that if you follow my channel for a long time, you see that previous reports show all of these, a lot of red circle, right? A lot of red circle, but now we see a lot of green circle. Green circle mean that it is actually improving the market index. And specifically, if you're looking at the change, right, 8% change throughout the news, 29% change is an increase. So as the number higher from around 90 to 110, right, that's the balanced market. If it is higher than 110, that's a seller market. If it is less than 90, that's a buyer market. So we see that even though most of them is still in the buyer's market, right? Most of them is still in the buyer's market. We see an improvement in the index for pretty much all the city except two, is the Goodyear and the Scottsdale, right? 16% increase, 13% increase, right? There's a lot of improvement in comfort market index, and the market is actually moving back to the balance right now. So we used to be in the buyer's market for the last couple of weeks, right? But now the market is still overall is still in the buyer's market, but everything is moving slowly back to the balanced market. So I expect if everything is the same, if everything is the same, the interest rate going to be the same toward 2023. More and more people are going to go back to the market. More and more buyers are going to go back to the market, and we're going to start to have a lot of interested buyers that getting back to the market, because they cannot wait. Maybe their lease already expired and they're not going to be willing to sign another lease for another year, right? They want to be in homeowners and things like that. So they're just going to start the buying process. Okay, so that is what the market is going on right now. Don't worry too much about a 60 new accepted contract. If somebody think that is too low for right now, yes, it is low, but it's not going to be that low if we're looking at that number at the end of the week, because we only have one day in the last week of 2022. At that time, that is the reason why we only have 16 new accepted contract. I believe that toward the end, we're going to see around maybe 1,300, 1,200, around that number. All right, thank you so much, everyone. If you do have any questions about real estate market or any contents in today market update, feel free to give me a call. My cell phone number 602-515-2442. Thank you. Bye-bye.